employees?
Has what been done in the best interest of the employees?
This transaction, in the best interest of the FNN employees.
Yes, I think both Mr. Tesler and myself feel that this is in the best interest, given the conditions and circumstances that we found FNN in at the time of coming to the company. I think this permitted the company to survive, and it gave the employees an opportunity to keep working. And we hope in the acquisition by CNBC, many of those employees will continue to work.
I think what we have to do here is, cut this off because we're running out of time. We've got to go back uptown. But I tell you one thing, relative to employees, creditors, stockholders, all of these different constituencies we tried to protect, we didn't have a lot of alternatives. And we're doing this in a bankruptcy court, which in and of itself tells you about the problems that we had. So I think we did the best under the circumstances that we had. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you at 4:40, sir?
Yep.
Alan, you want to do you ready to do a Q&A?
All right, you have been watching a live press briefing conducted by Alan Hirschfield and Alan Tesler, co-executive chairman of the Financial News Network. And as we go to the current headlines, we can update you on the story. A bankruptcy court judge in New York today approved the sale of the Financial News Network to CNBC, its only competitor, for $115 million. But the sale is subject to regulatory approval by the Federal Trade Commission, which has launched an antitrust investigation into CNBC's planned acquisition. Well, CNBC's $115 million offer matched a bid by Dow Jones and Company and Group W Satellite Communications. The bankruptcy judge approved CNBC's bid after Dow Jones and Group W Satellite Communications refused to agree to terms of the bankruptcy court judge. Shares of FNN today are trading down 4/16 at 7/16. General Electric, the parent company of CNBC, is trading up 3/8 at $72.50 a share, while Dow Jones and Company stock is up a quarter at 25 3/8, and Westinghouse, the parent of Group W, is up a quarter at 29 3/4.
Infighting among members of the Federal Open Market Committee could inhibit further Fed easing, at least in the opinion of one Fed watcher. The Johnson-Smith International report says it is unlikely the Fed will ease in response to a weak March employment report.
Filing, we go live to the courtroom, outside the courtroom in New York to find out the very latest. Our FNN correspondent Alan Chernoff is standing by. Alan, what do you have for us?
Well, Randall, it is all over right now. All the executives have walked out of the courtroom here. The cameras have asked them a few questions. And Tom Rogers, the head of NBC Cable, said to us that we wanted the property very much. I asked him, why did you raise your bid from $105 million to $115 million? They did not necessarily have to raise their bid, but they did during the proceedings. And he said, well, we wanted this property very much. In addition, Alan Tesler, the co-chief executive of FNN, said that we did the best we could under the circumstances. Alan Hirschfeld, the other chief executive, said that what we did will allow the company to survive. That's not accurate. CNBC intends to shut down FNN. They made that very clear, and they intend to do it by the end of the month. The only problem they confront right now is the Federal Trade Commission, and the FTC does have until April 19th to decide whether it will try to file an injunction and block this deal. If the FTC does not, the deal will go ahead without any problem. Randall?
Alan, this couldn't have come as a complete surprise to the group led by Dow Jones and Group W. They say that he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. Do they have something up their sleeve?
I wouldn't say they have anything up their sleeve. They are just trying to make sure they do not overpay for FNN. That appears to be their number one priority, because in the courtroom, they simply were not willing to allow their bid to be extended until the end of May. They wanted their bid of $115 million to expire at midnight tonight because of the idea that the FTC perhaps might block a CNBC purchase of FNN. So Dow Jones and Group W are basically sitting back. If the FTC does block the CNBC purchase, they could then step in, and they would hope to step in with a much lower bid, perhaps a bid of $90 million, which was initially what they had agreed to buy FNN at.
Alan, have you heard any more speculation that Group W Dow may try and launch some sort of competing channel of their own? I understand there's been talk outside the courtroom of that again today.
Well, actually, they have looked into this. Initially they had said that they would plan to, or they were very serious about trying to start a new network if they failed in buying FNN. However, yesterday I spoke to Peter Skinner, the senior vice president at Dow Jones, and he told me they have looked into this. They've spoken with the cable operators, and the simple fact is right now it is so difficult to begin a new cable network that they do not intend to go ahead with it. It's very unlikely that Dow Jones will try to start a competing business news station with CNBC.
Alan, thank you for the update. That is FNN correspondent Alan Chernoff joining us from the bankruptcy proceedings there in New York for the Financial News Network. We will go to a short break, then back in just a moment to update you on the current numbers on Wall Street.
Stay with us.
Tax tip number 3. Can you take an earned income credit if your children lived with you last year? Yes, you can, if you meet certain requirements.
This tax tip has been brought to you by H&R Block.
Tip number 4. What can you take if your children live with you and they formed a rock band? This, for your headache.
This tip has been brought to you by aspirin-free Excedrin, extra-strength medicine for extra-strength relief.
Sweeping views, late night blues, stirring sound, paradise found, Bermuda, a short trip to the perfect holiday.
You can count on me. You know that, don't you?
I was figuring I could.
Well, you cleaned this town up. You made it fit for women and kids to live in. Millen and nobody else will ever drag it down again.
I was hoping people would feel that way.
What other way is there? How many men you got lined up?
None yet.
Well, you better get going, man.
Just a reminder, when you think duplication, think meter copiers. Call 1-800-ABC-METER.
Every business morning, while the rest of the world is getting up, UPS is guaranteeing overnight delivery before 10:30 for far less than other companies charge. And every business morning, more people are waking up to that fact.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Each market day, watch FNN's Market Wheel. Get the top business headlines every half hour. Market analysis and commentary at 10 after. Check out Street Talk on stocks and the news at 15 and 45. Tune in for futures updates and business tips at 20 and 50 past each hour. And at 40 past, don't miss the FNN Insiders. All the business news you need on the Market Wheel. Weekdays from 8:30 to 4 Eastern, only on FNN.
Wall Street exhibits a firm undertone. The Dow Industrial's up more than 5, the broad market even stronger.
We've seen some sell programs earlier after the market moved to an early 11-point gain, extending that 64-point rally we saw in yesterday's session. Stocks erased those gains. We're turning higher again here, with the Dow Jones average currently up 5.5 points at 2950. The transportation average ahead 7.75 points, with the transportation average and the Financial News Composite Index both getting helped out today by strength in Delta Airlines. The utilities average, meanwhile, is up 0.12. The S&P 500 up 1.75 points, while the futures contract is ahead 1.90 for a premium near fair value, a premium 2.66. The fair value is seen at 2.5. Big board index up just over a point, with volume on the New York Stock Exchange, 126.8 million shares. Advancing issues over declining issues 9 to 5. The up volume continues to point to positive breadth, up with up volume at 80.4 million shares and the down volume of 31.5 million. June Treasury bills down 3 basis points, while the June Treasury bond contract down just a tick at 95 and 17/32. The dollar index is up 0.20, while the CRB index is fractionally lower. Leba?
The breadth of the market is exhibited in strength in the broad market averages. The Amex index, however, is the only one that has not yet made a new historic high. Its intraday high in the 1989 rally was around the 393 level. But all the other broad market averages are now trading in new all-time high ground. Nasdaq volume 98.57 million shares. The energy complex has come under some pressure today. In the case of crude oil, a big build reported in inventories by the API last night put the initial downside pressure on crude. It is trading essentially between 1920, which is support on the bottom, and 2010, which has resistance on the upside, and that range has confined prices for the last 2 weeks. In the energy group, Arco and Exxon down 5.8.
Suddenly, there's a new member of that select class of automobiles known as Grand Touring sedans. Powered by a turbocharged intercooled engine, richly upholstered in leather and uniquely styled. But what's most distinctive about this Grand Touring sedan is it's also a Volvo. Introducing the Volvo 940 SE. We've changed the car, but not the philosophy.
In these uncertain times, the intelligent investor... The company that created overnight shipping now gives you 2 ways to ship it overnight. Introducing an afternoon delivery service from Federal Express at a price that'll lift your spirits. It's a whole new dawn in overnight shipping. Federal Express, absolutely positively the best in the business twice a day.
There are some people in the world you do not want to depend on. Unfortunately, we lean on other countries for over 40% of the oil that America consumes. But the more we use nuclear energy instead of imported oil to generate our electricity, the less we have to depend on unstable sources.
Welcome back to the Midday Market Report with the Dow ahead 8.5 points. Without further ado, let's move to Joe Granville, the Granville Market Letter for a Street Talk interview. Joe, good afternoon.
Good to be back with you, Randall. Now, seeing that these could be the last days of Pompeii for FNN, I certainly am glad to have this opportunity to come on again today.
Welcome. Good to have you with us. Right now, the Dow ahead 9 points. Your outlook for stocks. You expected the market to move sharply higher. It has. Where do we go from here?
Well, as I told you last week, we had approximately 640 big board stocks. Now, that counts the preferreds within a point or less of new 52-week highs. Now, I can happily report that we are now up to approximately 700 big board stocks within a point or less of new 52-week highs. Thus, it is needless to worry about the 205 highs of February 11th. That number is about to be far exceeded, thus destroying another argument used by the bears that has absolutely no technical validity. Another invalid technical argument is the head and shoulders top formation. Anybody doing their homework can easily prove that the right shoulder is far, far stronger than the left shoulder. And the neckline at Dow 2850 was already successfully tested on March 22nd. Some commentators tell us that everybody is already in this market. Now, that is ridiculous. How would they explain away the record amount of money right now parked in the money market funds? No, this market has much further to go on the upside, and I would contemplate no serious sell signals prior to this summer. On this program, I've consistently pushed the banks and brokerage house stocks as the best bets. I had to take a lot of heat and criticism for recommending them right near their lows in December. But now it is fashionable to recommend these stocks. I like to buy stocks when it is not fashionable to do so. So therefore, I'm scrounging through the NASDAQ and other low-price stocks where we're finding the greatest bargains at this time. So that's the place to be. And it explains your question earlier about the NASDAQ after a 29% rise. Where are the bargains? Well, you have to buy the $1, $2, $3, and $4 stocks that are just now breaking out from massive base patterns. And there you have it.
Joe, give us a name or two.
Okay, there's so many of them. All right, American Shipbuilding, L-Cint, Cooper Companies, GRC International, Arrow Electronics, and I go on and on.
All right.
Pack the major exchange tickers. In very little time and for a lot less money, FNN Market Watch can give you a lot more of both. So call 1-800-777-3334 now to order FNN Market Watch. That's 1-800-777-3334.
During the course of trading, we bring you a variety of respected opinions on the stock and bond markets. We are joined now by Craig Corcoran of Davis Weig Futures in Jacksonville, Florida. Nice to have you with us, Craig.
Thank you, Leva. Appreciate it.
I don't know if you were able to hear Joe Granville's report a few moments ago. He denies the formation that many others have identified as a head and shoulders in the Dow Jones. How do you read the patterns?
Yeah, Leva, for short to intermediate term traders, there are a few bearish market patterns that will yield the quick bullish surprises like...
In arena again, coming this time from the wheat market, the rainfall over the weekend in the plains was not nearly as heavy as had been forecast, not enough to reverse the dryness conditions there, and fund buying in wheat has spilled over into the other grain markets as well. Moreover, farmers are likely to be returning to their fields as early as this weekend. The cash movement may slow, lending further support to the markets. Here now is an update of the latest price quotations across the boards.
Alignment, know our assignment, and go out and do it with some aggressiveness.
Why is it that some people constantly manage to reach heights others can only dream of? A few towns in western Pennsylvania have produced more football legends than any other place.
We play with poison.
Dan Marino,
we know that at the end of this
Johnny Unitas, George Blanda. What is it about these towns that gives birth to such greatness? Fierce pride, tradition, an obsession with excellence? The very things that drive us at Ford Motor Company. When leadership is in your blood, you push yourself to greater and greater heights. Our 1991 four-door Explorer and Escort have recorded the highest customer satisfaction ratings in our history. And starting right now, you'll be seeing more new models and exciting innovation from Ford and Lincoln Mercury than you've seen in years. America fell in love with Ford in the 80s, and we're going to be even tougher to beat in the 90s. Ford Motor Company.
Bonds remain a little weaker while stocks a little higher. The Dow Jones average off trading up 5.5 points. That will do it for the midday market report. Market Watch PM gets underway in 32 minutes. And Leva, we'll see you on Shop Talk.
Please join us. Ed Hart and Albert Sindlinger will be with me. We hope you'll join our conversation.
Have a good afternoon.
Financial News Network. You have no business watching anything else.
The last word on today's business, tonight at 9 Eastern.
The Air Force's Blue Book has long been the subject of debate. How many UFO sightings are real? That debate may simmer on for years, but the UFO we'll show you is for real. And how about targeting in the Gulf War? Think it's easy to see the enemy in the desert? Not so.
Some people drive miles out of the way to buy what they think is the best dog or cat food. When the fact is, this is all you have to drive. Because you don't have to go further than your supermarket for high-quality nutrition. Just stop at the Purina One Pet Nutrition Center. You'll find a whole new line of Purina One brand dog and cat foods for every stage of your pet's life. To me, there's nothing better than Purina One.
Purina One, second to none. Now for your dog and cat.
You heard about Laura and Steve? Divorce? Worse, they moved. Bad? How about the van showing up a day late?
Depressing.
Or finding your crystal vase in 3 pieces?
No. They should have called United Van Lines. United moved us from London to Minneapolis. Piece of cake. Only thing they didn't do was cook dinner. I hear you. But neither did I.
No surprises, no loose ends. No wonder people recommend United more than any mover in America. United Van Lines. We're #1 for a reason.
Financial News Network. You have no business watching anything else.
A full commission futures broker ought to make a nice living. But with your money? Look at these price differences. An S&P 500 round turn at Merrill Lynch, $100. At Payne Weber, $90. At Lind Waldock, $32. Are you getting $60 worth of hand-holding every time you place an order? This time, call Lind Waldock, the nation's largest futures discount firm. Announcing an all-new lineup of futures and options advisory hotlines, exclusively for Lind Waldock traders. Our free evening analysis gives the who, what, and why behind each day's trading, We also offer 2 advisories that give specific recommendations on the most widely traded futures and options. New customers receive free trials of both. Call us now to see how you can become a Lind Waldock trader and get our exclusive advisory hotlines.
Call toll-free 1-800-445-2000.
Experience the power tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.